Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. I have incredible news for you guys today. You've probably seen that the bump stock ban got struck down by the Fifth Circuit. This is big news, and it's a lot more than just bump stocks. All this stuff I've been talking about with pistol braces, with things like force reset triggers, I believe that this is going to affect all of that. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's get started. So if you guys have been following the channel, you'll know that I've been putting out some videos recently about pistol braces and the rule that was supposed to drop in December 2022. Well, here we are in January of 2023, and we don't have the final rule yet. Put out a video last Sunday just detailing the fact that they had postponed it due to a lawsuit, both sides weren't ready, all that stuff. Well, I've got incredible news. We'll see how it affects pistol braces, but I'm very optimistic. So, if you watch other gun channels and stuff, you might have seen over the last 2 days that the Fifth Circuit struck down the bump stock ban. And the way that they did it is going to help us in a lot of ways, I believe. So basically what they said, and I'm not going to go into all the details, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't have the decision right here in front of me, but basically the ATF banned bump stocks using Chevron deference. Now Chevron deference, without getting too technical, has to do with regulatory agencies being able to make rules basically and make decisions instead of having things have to go through Congress to become law in the traditional constitutional way. And so the ATF has been using Chevron deference to make all kinds of rules and to interpret law as they see fit in order to take away our constitutional rights. They've been doing it for a long time, and especially in the last 2 years, they have just been thirsty to take as much as they can from us, and they've been doing everything that they think that they can get away with. And that's why this decision is so good. So what happened is basically the Fifth Circuit said, no, you guys don't have Chevron deference in this case. You can't just make law. Laws have to be made by Congress. And this is what we've been saying all along. And the cool thing about this, so bump stocks are fun. I don't care about them that much. I don't have a bump stock, whatever, but they're completely legal and they're not a machine gun. And that's the whole point. The ATF decided through Chevron deference that they could just change the definition of machine gun. Well, the Supreme Court said you can't do that. Only Congress can do that. And Congress has a definition for machine gun through the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act that have been established a long time ago. It has to do with a single round for a single function of the trigger. And that's why things like this, a binary trigger, are perfectly legal and not considered machine guns, because you get a round when you pull the trigger and a round when you release the trigger, but each round is only expelled per single function of the trigger, making it not a machine gun. This is the same thing with bump stocks. The way bump stocks work is they just make it easier to bump fire a firearm. Now, people have been bump firing firearms forever. Basically, all you do is you have to keep your hand steady and you put a little forward pressure on the gun, and the recoil of the gun keeps it moving back and forth, making it fire much faster than you would normally be able to just by pulling the trigger the traditional way. That's not a machine gun. It's just a technique to make your gun fire faster. And honestly, it's not the most controllable thing, accurate. It's not an effective way to use a firearm. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. But after the Las Vegas shooting and Donald Trump telling them to ban bump stocks, the ATF used Chevron deference. They did what they were told. They banned bump stocks. Well, it was unconstitutional and illegal to ban bump stocks without going through Congress and without going through the proper channels that our country is built on. So that's been struck down just in the last couple days by the Supreme Court. What I am excited about is what this means for other things. As you guys have probably seen, the ATF has been going after forced reset triggers lately, saying that those are machine guns as well. Thing is, forced reset triggers were designed very specifically to follow the letter of the law, and they're not machine guns because although the firearm can fire as fast as something that is full auto, your finger is actually moving back and forth very quickly. It's just being reset by the bolt carrier group each time, but you are getting a single function of the trigger for every round expelled, making it not a machine gun according to the legal definition of what a machine gun is. So I think that everybody that's worried about their forced reset triggers getting, the ATF coming and kicking down their door, maybe you don't have to worry about it so much anymore. Now, this decision hasn't been made across the board yet, but I believe that this will set a precedent for things like forced reset triggers. And if you guys have been following the channel, you know that I'm very passionate about pistol braces. Pistol braces is one of those things where the ATF, through Chevron deference, is trying to say that pistol braces, or an AR or an AK with a stabilizing brace attached and a barrel shorter than 16 inches, that the pistol brace actually makes that firearm into an SBR, a short-barreled rifle, which then has to be regulated under the National Firearms Act, the Gun Control Act. You have to pay a $200 tax stamp, get it registered, be put on a list, the whole 9 yards. And if you get caught with one that you haven't registered, that is considered an illegal SBR, and you can go to prison for 10 years and get fined $10,000. Ridiculous to me, especially being someone that owns 3 of these things that I bought perfectly legally. As I've said in other videos, these have been on the market as perfectly legal accessories for a decade. There's been between 10 and 40 million of them sold to law-abiding American gun owners that are not committing any crimes, not doing anything violent with them whatsoever. They just like to have weapons with a shorter barrel because they're more maneuverable and easier to be effective with in close quarters. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these things. But the ATF, under the Biden administration, has been going after them for months now and been threatening to drop a final rule very soon on these, basically turning all of your pistol-braced ARs into illegal SBRs and making you a felon overnight, or forcing you to pay the $200 tax stamp and register your firearms with the ATF, getting on an illegal registry that they haven't been able to put together legally because of, legal challenges, the Constitution, for a long time. And this was their backdoor way of creating a de facto gun registry, being that these are the most popular firearms in America. If everyone complied, they'd basically get everyone on the list. If no one complied, they would make criminals out of all these people and be able to throw perfectly law-abiding people that are not committing crimes in jail for something that's been perfectly legal for a long time. As you guys know, it's something that I'm very against. And I've been a bit worried about it. I've made a number of videos now about, what's been going on with this whole thing. I believe that with this new decision from the Supreme Court that's been made, showing that the ATF could not regulate or ban bump stocks the way they did under Chevron deference, that those kind of decisions have to go through Congress and laws have to be made the way that things are supposed to be. Well, to me, that applies to this too, and I think that it will. So we'll see now what happens, whether we just don't get a final rule now on pistol braces, because if I looked at it as the ATF, that would be pretty stupid to try to regulate these things now when the Supreme Court has basically just told them you can't do that with bump stocks. So I think that everybody that has been nervous about their braced AR pistols, AK pistols, their forced reset triggers, I'm hoping that very soon we will find out that we don't have anything to worry about. We'll see what happens though. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Please like, share if you did. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this. This is great news for us, whether you are a proponent of, bump stocks or not. I think that this has much farther reaching repercussions than just bump stocks, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. So let me know down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.